Origin Chess reacts, and this is Too Fancy Too Furious Wine. Yes, another internet student video. He said that in the previous incognito mode video, like there what 6-7 videos he planned. Like I'm still pretty sure like 2-3 internet student channel videos are there. Then there is also 2-3 incognito mode video. So yeah, he's been doing this like a whole series of things about art or anything art related, of wines, paintings, and this is about wine, I guess, specifically about wine. Okay, what is about wine that requires the whole fucking episode? But okay, this is gonna be fun. Yeah, it's internet historian. Like, what else to say there, right? Internet historian is always awesome, so let's watch it. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. That way I know which videos to react to more, and that way you can help this channel by helping the algorithm and things. Yeah, check out the reaction. There's a link in the description, and let's watch it.
Come here, little fella. I want to tell you, I'm just like you. We're both down here in the dirt. Mine just happens to be imported. You are fighting in traffic.
Made in Italy.
And I am fighting charges of trafficking. We're so similar. You're working a 9-to-5 job, and I am having to look at that. We're both going through it. So don't hate me. I'm not the problem. It's the wine snobs. They're the ones that look down on you. And frankly, I don't blame them. No, he's learning. Listen, let me pull you up by your bootstraps. What if I made you my little Pygmalion? That's a reference that you wouldn't get. You know what? Perhaps I shall make a series of videos that will give you some sort of clue about fancy things. Yes, that's what I'll do.
I seriously, from inside of it, hate that I don't get that reference. It's pissing me off now. Okay, wait a minute. No, I don't get it because there's not much to it, I guess. Pygmalion, it's a story about somebody who made a statue and fell in love with it. And I guess it's like more metaphorical way of saying it's like, somebody's expectation affecting somebody's performance. Basically, like all those movies where somebody's just like some rich and some more artistic person basically takes somebody from middle life or something and show them something and they become better. Is that it? It's probably it, right?
Something to give you just enough information to bluff your way through a fancy dinner.
Did you know that Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa?
Somebody had to hold open the gates for the barbarians. Why not me? So let's do it. Let's look at wine, the Mountain Dew of upper society. With wine, there is only one rule.
Mountain Dew of upper society. Oh God. Okay, do people drink Mountain Dew? I don't know. I really like it because it tastes different. I don't know, and with certain things, very specific things, right? Like pastry puffs and things, it tastes good, but that's about it. As a kid, I used to eat that a lot. Nowadays, I don't. But yeah, Coke is just like Coke. Like okay, yeah.
Kill or be killed. And if you want to survive the night, here are 6 things you should know about wine. To you muggles, the words on these bottles must seem like a mystery.
Pie not no ire?
But us landlords, we, the pink Himalayan salt of the earth, we know what they mean. They are grape names. Look upon this grapevine. It makes grape berries. Now, there are many different species of grape berry. And whatever the berry species is will determine the type of wine. This is Chardonnay, so it will make Chardonnay. Merlot grapes?
Really? Green grapes is make Chardonnay.
This is Chardonnay, so it will make Chardonnay. Merlot grapes? They make Merlot wine. Grape names are mostly French. Gross. But for example, in English, Pinot Noir means black pine, because it kinda looks like a black pine cone if you squint. Here's some of the other names. You can pause it. I'm busy. Wine grapes are not like the kind you get at the supermarket. Those are table grapes. You can think of it kind of like the difference between cooking chocolate and regular chocolate. You can eat them, but they're overly sugary and kind of full of seeds and just not as nice to snack on. So the grape type is the main word on the bottle, but sometimes there are other words as well. For example, this Bourgogne What the hell is a Chablis? It's all regions. Allow me to
Chablis.
explain through the medium of song. There's
God.
Chianti and Piedmont, and also there's Burgundy. Don't forget Chablis Bordeaux. This one's from Italy, this one's from Italy, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France. They're all from France. We're Italy.
I mean,
Look,
yeah,
the general rule is, if you see a term you don't understand, it's probably
France, Italy, and things around there were like predominantly European thing. But yeah, so most old European thing basically comes from around that area. Why don't it makes sense? That's the reason why lots of people have French envy, I guess. Anybody who speaks French, ooh, look at that, you're more cultured there, okay.
just the French
same
or
time,
the
we also
Italian,
hate French,
you
that's
know,
weird.
la-di-da about their particular region. All right, let's move on to price. Come on, I know a place. We're here. I can tell by the name on the sign. Now, don't embarrass me, I didn't bring my ID. Fiddle-TD, look at all these bottles. So many options. Ooh, a cheeky $200 bottle. And here, oh, a $20 bottle. Now, I bet this $200 bottle tastes way better, right? Like it's got to be 10 times better than this one.
It's
That's just
probably
basic
older,
math.
200 one.
Go on, though. You choose one.
Okay, I think, it depends on the taste, but mostly I'm guessing the more older it is, the more costly it is, right? So also like region also makes a difference because, yeah, people think like, okay, there is some element of luxury to it, right? Like people just sell something costlier because it's a brand or something. That happens everywhere, like even in electronics. Mostly it's also because it's like, more distant things, right? It comes from not a local place, so it's more costly and probably older.
Oh, no. Well, it was supposed to be a trick question, but they both taste pretty similar, right? There's not some threshold that you get to where it gets more expensive, and then it tastes better, and then more expensive again, and it tastes even better, until it gets so expensive and so incredible that it's like nothing you've ever had before. Break through the conditioning. This is just old grape juice. Now, if you're a little bi-curious about a more expensive bottle, sure, why not?
Gold letters grace the label, hand engraved by goldsmiths. Famed wine critics described the taste as mind-boggling.
But realistically, after about $60, the flavor doesn't get much better. In fact, it plateaus out and it can even go down. The best quality
Yeah, I think it's mostly because as you reach 60, it reaches certain level of oldness, let's just say, right? And after that, it's just like because of different places and taxes and things, it's gonna increase, and maybe a few years of difference. And then more costly is like really old, then taste will be different. It's like something, let's just say like 30-year-old, something else is 35, not gonna be much difference. But something's like 50, 60 years old, that's gonna be different.
to price ratio is all the way over here, much lower, about $20. That's how much you should spend on a bottle of wine.
This is
Now,
a guide.
Some people will say,
that I'm putting my heart and soul into this thing. I'm making a form of art. How much is that worth? How much is art worth?
about
Nothing.
$20. But what about the Vintage?
It depends the type of a fools you can track. Art could worth millions or nothing. It depends.
Well, look at this. A couple of cromulent slender necks. And they're the same price as well. But this one is from 2019, and this one is from 2022. Well, surely the older one is the better one, right?
Yeah.
No. Many people think that the wine aging goes like this, and the flavor just keeps getting better over time. Wrong, wrong, wrong! The wine at the store has already been aged at the winery. I don't need to be more aged by sitting on this shelf and just collecting dust, or spending years at the back of your pantry at home. If I'm for sale, I'm ready to be consumed. I'm ready to have your hot...
Wait a minute, that's not true, is it? I'm pretty sure I heard about people saying like I have like a cellar there, kept those wines for decades, so it gets more older, it gets better, right? I mean, that does pull. I mean, alcohol does work like that. Any fermented alcohol type of way, things work like that. I don't know. I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know much about this. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard of that. Like, the more you keep it, the better it gets.
hot lips wrapped around me. In fact, the general rule goes a corked bottle should be drunk within 5 years and a capped bottle within 1 year.
Why?
Come, there's more. Let's pretend I am a waiter
Cork
at a
is like
restaurant.
completely airtight or something?
You happen to be wearing a shirt, and so I have mistaken you as a paying customer. As a waiter, the first thing I will press you about will be food pairings. White wine with fish? A Merlot with pork? Well, kid, I'm gonna have to pair this truth nugget with something you don't wanna hear. The food pairing doesn't...
Do you want this wine with this? Do you want with this like some damn? Yeah, do you all like fries with some cheese dip? That's what I need. That's what I want, right? Somebody's like really rich, like Elon Musk or something, like Jeff Bezos, basically walk into a restaurant, this kind of hi-fi restaurant. I don't give a shit. Just give me fries and cheese, man. I'm already. I don't need to pretend to be more in taste around the world. I don't give a shit.
doesn't really matter. It's all completely subjective. It's cuisine by horoscope. It's food astrology. Pay no attention to the sommeliers in the
don't go to
comment
astrology.
section. They are bullshitting to upsell.
Get the more expensive one. It goes better with the spaghetti.
Or they are a Pisces and you shouldn't trust their opinion anyway. Something else to expect at a restaurant? Expect to get ripped off by the markup. Most restaurants add a 250 to 300% markup on their wine. And the cheaper the bottle, the higher the proportional markup tends to be. So a $20 bottle will turn into an $80 bottle, but a $100 bottle may only rise to $150. Most people get the second cheapest bottle on the menu, regardless of the pairing, and that'll do just fine. And that's it. No more tips. Unless you want to leave me one. Oh? Actually, you know what? I got a fucking tip for you, mate. Ad time. I bet you...
Yeah, I mean, that's how basically any luxury thing works, right? That is what luxury is about. If you go to like some less fancy restaurant, that's going to be that thing, right? And I don't know if you can justify that or not. Some can justify it because of all the things they put in that restaurant, right? How much it costs, they have to like get back somehow, right? That way. But I don't know. It's same thing as iPhone Pro, right? Simple iPhone. If you're like basic iPhone, is like priced decently, how it should be around, right? I even argue like it's priced really well because anything comparative with that is more costlier, I think. Base iPhone basically. Now pros are really costly than they should. I don't even know what is a pro now, like $1,500 or something, $1,200. It should be around $900 or something. But they deliberately do that because if somebody's going $900, they'll go $1,200. Why the fuck not? That kind of way.
You're wondering
Even
how I
cars
got
have
this
this element.
cog in my knee. That's because I became the face of Incogni, the service that helps you be forgotten on the internet. I used to be a humble florist. One day we received a shipment
What is
of
Incogni?
forget-me-nots. But inexplicably I fell in and ate a bunch of them. I forgot everything that day. My address, my web browsing habits, where I worked, what my child's face looked like. I was supposed to pick him up from daycare, so that was kind of embarrassing. I
Is
just
this a
picked one
VPN?
of the kids that kind of looks like me.
Oui, monsieur.
Close enough. Have you ever signed up for some dodgy website? Have you ever dodged up for a legitimate website and they sell all your details onto a dodgy website? That's where I come in. Incogni Man and Anonyboy.
Je n'ai pas les onglets pas.
There are data miners out there, data collectors, creating big servers all around the world. They take your name, your address, and your IP, and together they make a big profile, and that lives forever. I am here to send them annoying legal notices to tell them to fuck off. Take Steve off your database. European law this, American law that. Go to incogni.com/internet store to get 60% off an annual plan. The cog signal. I swoop into the data centers. Legal notice. Tangle up their processes with admin. Who are you? I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Inganokni Nam. Go to incogni.com/internet historian. Incogni Man. Remember me?
I was just gonna say that like this is a betrayal. This is a Interest student not talking about Nordman. It's now some. Is this a VPN Ecogni? That's okay.
Yes. No. Who's the kid?
Je suis très affamé, monsieur, s'il vous plaît.
Whoa, that's a good deal. Ad over.
What the fuck was that?
Welcome to the Wine Underground.
Wait a minute. So this is not sponsored by Nordman. He still talks about it. When people at Nord would get pissed off, like, okay, wait a minute, are you making fun of me? Why are you talking about me and some other guy's thing?
Our meetings here, because it stays at a very pleasant temperature. You know, us wine masons, we control everything. We are few, but many. That doesn't make sense. Look at the back of this bottle. See the No Fat Chicks logo? We put that there. It is the symbol
it's a
of our
fragrance, is it?
organization. We have a dirty finger in every glass of government and corporation stuff. If you cross us, oops, perhaps you'll have a little accident. Last year, Little Upstart tried to make wine actually taste good. You know, like how grape soda does. Cut him up so good he had to get stitches. We caught one reporter trying to dig around into our operations. We all know how that one ended.
Oh god, this one I know.
With an airstrike. All right, my little juice box. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Why is champagne called champagne? Well, I'll tell you.
Place.
It all began in 1668.
There's a place
in
called
the Abbey
Champagne?
of St. Peter in northeast France. There's something spooky going on.
One thing I've noticed, certain names just come from place, and it might not sound like place. It's probably a place.
It's springtime, and in the cellar where they keep all the wine, bottles would suddenly, unexpectedly, explode. Now, this was especially common during morning mass. Ho ho, that's a bad omen. Sometimes the explosions would cause little chain reactions, and bottle after bottle would break down the line, ruining the majority of the crop.
That
The
would
peasants
happen.
were frightened and also parched.
Sacre Bleu, lay wine. What is happening?
The monks would refer to this as
Wait a minute, is that
the
that
devil's
game?
wine.
Lay wine is cursed.
Ah, Andre, that's the game, right? Of Kingdom something. Oh, that game was so good.
Legod, he must be anger at us. We need a hero.
In walks Dom Perignon. He is just the man for the job. A Benedictine monk at the abbey. He's got a
Look at
new
the
role,
smug.
the cellar master. And it's his mission to find out what the hell is going on here. So Dom starts looking at all
That
the
face
wine.
is awesome.
And what he figures out pretty quickly is that the wine itself is releasing gas. The gas builds up pressure and
I mean,
why that is
alcohol
happening,
fermented
doesn't
wine,
know.
yeah.
But it's his job to stop it. So he gets to work,
That germs in
trying
it,
all
because it's
sorts
gas.
of things to stop his mortal enemy. The bubbles. In the first year, he tried insisting that only the youngest grapes be picked.
Perhaps this will stop your bubbles.
And it didn't. The next year, he changed up how the
I mean, I
grapes...
get it. At the time, they didn't know, but obviously, the whole reason it did because germs, right? That's what fermented means. That's what the grape. That's why the more older it gets, the better it gets, or whatever, right? Why do we fart? Because bacteria in our guts produces this gas, right? Same thing applies here. Bacteria in it producing gas.
grapes were pressed.
Push harder. We'll squeeze out the bubbles.
Son of a bitch. He tried picking the grapes very early in the morning and no other time. Nope. And on and on. The bubbles would win the battle every year. For 8 long years, he tried all sorts of different things. And no strategy worked. No, the bubbles. Eventually, he was at the point of almost giving up. Until one day, hey, what if the wine is still fermenting? So he takes a couple of the bottles and he opens them and, it is. We ferment the wine. Once it's done, it goes into the bottle. How does it then start fermenting again? How is that possible? And here the mystery was solved. So it turns out in North France they have very fast changing seasons, and owing to that, the yeast doesn't actually get time to do its job. Instead, it would get cold very quickly in the winter, and all the yeast would go dormant. Then the winemakers would go, oh brilliant, fermentation slowed down, it must be done. They would then bottle it and they would store it. But once summer came back around, the process would spring back to life, and carbon dioxide would build up and... Okay, he thinks, I cannot change the climate. Perhaps I shall not win the war against the bubbles. Now, the bubbles are his enemy, and he has another enemy. The English. Therefore, the enemy of his enemy or something. Anyway, he starts talking to the English, and he goes, hey, how do you guys stop your bottles from exploding? And the British go,
You what, mate? Core! Well, peep at how thin the bloody glass be in it. Thin glass is the problem. Thank you for using this text-to-speech preview. For a paid version, please go to...
See, the English have created new coal-fired bottles.
You cheap ass. That's interesting thing, right? Every time you use some stock image, it says such and such a stock image. There's a preview, deliberately kept that in. This is so good. Interstellar's whole thing is like, okay, this feels like somebody who just stitched together with some guy's cellotape or something, but it's not. It's really well made with script and everything, but it makes it seem like he's just like, you know, not giving a shit or something.
With much thicker glass. Then they put a cork in the top, and it allows them to make very foamy beer. That's right, he could just use thicker bottles and he won't have to worry about stopping the bubbles at all. So Dom goes running back to France. He's panting, he's sweating, and there's bits of brie on his shirt. He's going, better bottles, better bottles. Everyone's confused and terrified, but they give it a shot. And there it was. The people of France loved it.
I love this new style.
Even the French royals were enjoying new wine, TM. He even started adding extra yeast and sugar to really get the bubbles going. And so Dom Perignon had created what we call today champagne. Now, there's a 19th century marketing campaign that says the moment he uncorked his champagne for the first time, he tried it and said, come quickly, I am tasting the stars. But that's actually a myth. He never really said that. But there's still a problem. And this one, Dom cannot fix. The pulp. If you bottle wine while it's still fermenting, so that you can keep the bubbles in, you're also trapping in a bunch of dead yeast and debris and gross particles too. Also, it's all cloudy. No, we want it clear. We want it crystal looking. How will we ever solve this problem? Dom dies. 1805, in walks Madame
Biggest issue of any scientist, time, basically, so it makes sense. Oh, for God's sake, we don't have time.
Clicquot. She's just the man for the job.
I'm also French. I have come to remove all the little bits. I will clench my teeth together and go pitu back into the bottle.
Now, Madame Clicquot was a very shrewd lady. Her husband died when she was in her early 20s.
My husband is dead. Lol.
And part of the estate she was bequeathed included a winery.
Oh, man.
She immediately got to work, making
Oh, man, Tristan got a new tool. Now, yeah, this is terrifying. Oh, look at that. It's just a speech to text. I can use that. There you go. AI powered.
Into a successful business.
I shall invent a process called lay riddling.
Here's what you do, right? You put these bottles on a rack at a 35-degree angle with the top facing down. Every 2 days, she would give the bottle a little shake and slightly increase the angle. After 8 to 10 weeks, all of the sediment would come to rest in the neck of the bottle. All right, quick tangent. Did you know that when you increase the salt concentration in water, you can drop its temperature down much lower without it freezing? Tangent over. So she takes this sub-zero salt water and dips the neck of the bottle in there. Then lets it sit until the neck freezes. Now you have a sort of frozen cork filled with all of the gross pulp, and then you simply pop off the top. And the whole thing goes shooting out as a fun prank for your friends and family. Then they add in a little more extra base wine and sugar and leave it to age. And with that, Clicquot has just created a clear, sparkling wine.
Damn,
and
that's a process.
Is Ridley. And Madame Clicquot is...
The Riddler.
So Dom Perignon and Madame Clicquot are both credited as the godfather and godmother of champagne. Today, the Dom and Clique brands are owned by LVMH, the same parent company that owns Louis Vuitton, Tag Heuer, Tiffany & Co., Hennessy.
Makes sense.
Actually, pretty much every luxury brand. But why is it called champagne? Well, that's because it comes from the Champagne region, you dummy. And anything else with bubbles is just sparkling wine.
I knew that. Champagne region.
Oh.
Yeah, I like, see, one thing, obviously it doesn't surprise me, because if the time is shit, right? I mean, back then, like, what can you do? Imagine, like, standing up, how is your day going to be? What you gonna do? Meet up with your friends, do some shit here and there. There wasn't much to do back then, right? Like some sport or something, I don't even know. Worry about death by pox or something, or somebody, just invading your town. I mean, alcohol it's intoxicating. That's the whole thing, right? You drink it, you don't think about your worry goes away, everything goes away, because obviously it's an alcohol, right? I mean, you're drunk at that point. Meet up with your friends. So alcohol was one thing that everybody cared about, right? So imagine all the way people went to just to make something good, all the ingeniousness. Well, wait a minute, should we think about all the scientific things, like physics related things? Should we think about anything? Should we think about gravity? No, let's talk about beer. Let's talk about champagne. Why not? It's so good. I guess, yeah, it makes sense. Who gives a shit about gravity or rockets or anything at that time, right? We're gonna die tomorrow anyway for some small shit. Diarrhea might kill us. Let's drink some good thing at least.
Oh, it's you. I was just looking out over the sunset. You know how it is. Thinking about stuff that happened in the past. I remember it all too well. It was literally 1984. I was walking home with my parents from the opera.
Come on, keep up. We're nearly there.
Yeah.
Hey, let's take a little shortcut, they said.
We can cut through here.
We were walking down a well-lit alleyway. It was nothing but quaint restaurants and bistros. Then suddenly, a man holding a bottle of Shiraz came out of nowhere. "Just a tipple," he said. I was terrified. I knew nothing about wine. "Go on," he said. My hands were shaking, knees weak, arms heavy. Complex aroma, wouldn't you say? Ooh. Very good tannins? Oh, really? Yep. What's a tannin? I don't know. My parents died from embarrassment right there on the spot.
I'm sorry, Daddy.
Just a
You
tipple.
still have a text-to-speech device thing.
It's too late for me, but I don't want the same thing to happen to you. That's why we have to learn about how to serve wine.
Open the bottle,
So
drink
you
it.
bought a bottle of
Fuck it.
wine to show your friends and family how successful and sophisticated you are. Did you know that Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa? So let's go through how to serve the big three. White, red, and champagne. Let's say you've bought champagne.
Oh, I don't know this. I just...
That bottle goes in the fridge. Champagne is served cold always. To open, peel off the foil and do not aim it at your face. Then twist off the metal thing. If you want people to think you're fancy, use the proper word, muselet.
Muselet.
It helps to contain the pressure. Again, don't aim this thing at your face. It's really worth repeating. The PSI inside a champagne bottle is 70 to 90. That puts it in the same league as a nail gun. So the cork comes out at about 50 miles an hour. And if you're in a house, you want to hold onto it very firmly with your hand. If you're Bezos, or you just won the Grand Prix, fling it over some ladies. But if you want to be really fancy, you can use a sword.
Yeah,
This has been a
glass gonna
tradition
break.
for a couple hundred years, popularized by Napoleon. After each victory, the army would use their sabers to crack one open for the boys. But the sword's just ceremonial. You can use pretty much any blunt object to knock off the top. A phone, a shoe, this fish head. If it's cold, it shouldn't fizz over too much, but you might want to have someone on the side with...
Okay, so the top of the glass does break away, right? I mean, isn't that fear? What if like small drop of glass, shard or whatever gets inside and then you drink it? People fucking out with glass, like, especially when they're eating something or not. It's like a glass, glass drops and somebody just picks it up, pour liquid, starts to drink it. Like, what if there's like a small bits of, glass in it? And what if you drink that? That's catastrophic, man. You can have internal bleeding. Come on.
With a ready glass. The glass type should either be a tulip or a flute. Although, if you've seen The Great Gatsby, you may notice that they use these. Up until the mid-1900s, people used coupes. That's because, back in the day, excessive effervescence wasn't very cool. So these cups helped actually dispel the bubbles faster. In fact, sometimes they'd even use a small whisk or a fork to dissipate all the bubbles. Now, there's actually an old myth that the shape and size of the coupe was molded from one of Marie Antoinette's buboes. But it's probably not true. Eventually, bubbles became a fancy feature, so the flute was adopted. They can be made from glass, but preferably they're made from crystal, so that they shimmer as much as possible. And the best flutes would also feature a small rough spot right there at the center of the glass at the bottom to create a sort of tornado of bubbles. Anyway, as you pour, tilt sideways so it isn't all head, and don't pour more than 2/3 full. Done. White wine. White wine is best served chilled too. 10 to 15 degrees though, not fridge cold. Use a small glass bowl and pour to about half full. And when you drink, do a little sniff test and, aerate it a bit. Then hold it down.
Sniff it even though you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Sniff it, doesn't matter. Like, do you understand anything? No, just sniff it just to pretend. There you go. That's what you do.
On low on the stem, so your hands don't heat up the liquid. If it's not to your taste, cut it with 50% Sprite and add a few ice cubes. Done. Reds.
There you go.
Red wine is not chilled. It is served at room temperature. When you first open it, you're supposed to let it sit for a while.
Imagine somebody goes to some like a restaurant or something with Bugatti Chiron or something, gets out with a proper suit and everything, sits down like, give me white wine and put Sprite in it. Fuck it, why not? You have the money, why the fuck not?
To oxidize. That gives it more flavor. Although if you don't want to wait, you can just pour it into a decanter. That does the same thing. To drink from, we want a big bowl on a stick, so you get a full face of the aromas of the grape blood. When you pour the thing, fill it about 1/3 full. That's pretty much it. However, when it comes to wine snobbery, red wine snobbery is at the top of the Maslow hierarchy.
Crushed white rock. It's like almost like a rock quarry.
Oh my God, shut up. And there's a taste testing thing that people do, and they all go a bit mental, and it's kind of gross, and it looks dumb. But if you think you're ready for the ultimate test, ready to take the one-chip challenge of enology, then here's how you do it. When the waiter comes over, insist on taking a teensy sample. Inspect for color, clarity, and legs. Legs refers to how viscous the wine is. Smell it. Smells like a red wine. Swirl it around on the table, making a loud scratching noise, so that everyone knows you're a connoisseur.
Swirling the wine glass is almost like turning up the volume on the stereo.
When you taste it, you're supposed to get it over every part of your mouth, so that when you brush your teeth later, it's awful. Then take in big sips of air. This is where you comment on the texture and taste. Complex notes! You yell across the room. Now this is the best part. You can just make shit up about vanilla smatterings or citrusy undercurrents. I swear, there's a hint of blueberry. It's one of those things that's kinda true, but subjective enough that no one can really refute.
Isn't this awesome, right? I can imagine him being like some kind of like drug lord, Polios Hermanos, whatever that fucking thing was in Breaking Bad. And I can imagine him being someone like this as well, like some connoisseur talking about wine. How many roles can he do with this? It's so good.
So make a big show of it.
There is a little bit of an earthiness, almost a graphite clay note to this.
It's a little bit meaty.
No, that isn't. You're lying.
Sort of, rustic.
There are definitely hints here of Monster Ultra sugar-free. If this is a taste test and you're sampling dozens of wines, you want to spit out the sample into this gross bucket so you don't get too drunk. Do not ask the waiter if you can drink from the bucket. It's the waiter's privilege and he's very protective of it. And that is how to serve wine. Okay, that's a lot of
So basically now you know why somebody's rich and suddenly go broke and stay broke, because they went through all this shit and it's like, I'm not gonna be this douche. That's it. That's what it is. This is the high society. I don't need it.
shitting on wine people.
And we shouldn't get bullied.
But let me do a quick 180. Because overall, wine is good. And a little wine snobbery can be good also. Being into wine is one of the great dad hobbies. One day you will have a model train set in your basement, complete with a little walking path and the grass just right. The best part about this hobby is building the thing, getting it just perfect, and then making people sit there while you explain the little trains in excruciating detail of how they work.
Yeah, documentaries of shit.
The fun of Warhammer. That's when you save up for the little space marine man, you take him out of the packet, you put on a podcast with some Warhammer in the background.
Of all the Primarchs, Horus is the best kisser.
And you slowly paint it yourself. And then you argue with your mates later about why the Necrophiles are the best race. There are people that spend like tens of thousands of dollars on coffee machines and equipment. And then it takes like an hour to make a coffee, and it's like only 5% better, maybe, than the ones you get at the cafe. Now, I could be Mr. Killjoy and come in and go,
yeah. Necrophiles are not the best. If they were best, they wouldn't be fucked up, basically. That's just like simplistic, right? I watched Warhammer 2 and I just like, one thing I think is like Occam's is a simplicity. Don't think too much. It's like, if Necrons were better, they wouldn't be fucked like that. The end. And humans are better because I'm human and I'm not a fucking trader. So there you go. Imperium.
What's the point of that? Why not just buy it from the cafe? Why not just get a pre-painted Space Marine? Why not have someone else just install the train set? But then there's no ceremony, there's no fun, there's no hobby. Wine is very similar.
I'm gonna let out your douchebag
too
energy.
Obsessive about the thing, and being like
some lemon zest as well, lemon pith. Super tangy.
Is the purpose of wine. It's the fun of wine.
What you doing tonight?
Which is why
I'm bored. I have nothing to do here. I don't go to club. Okay, let's do wine tasting. They have a pastime. So there you go. That's another thing.
Wine is better than just some old grape juice. And you fucking wine loser snobs, you know what? You're all right.
That's it? Oh, there's something to add.
And that's about it. There's just one last thing left. The practical. Come on, my little nouveau biche. I booked out a whole restaurant. They serve some of the best blue whale caviar here. All right, you did it. You sat through the whole video without crying. I think this calls for a toast. Steady now. Whoop.
Yeah, it's about right.
Uh-oh. I can't believe you killed again. But it's okay. I feel like we're becoming close friends who can keep secrets and stuff. And because we're such close friends, I'm gonna keep teaching you things. That's right. You're gonna be just like me. I just cannot tell which of this is blood and which wine. By the way, this is the second video. If you haven't seen the first one, which is on Fancy at the Theatre, go look at it over here.
What about the Incognito one?
But there's also Fancy, the Arts on Incognito. That's already live. And there's the next Incognito on its way. Do not forget story mode. Do not forget Incogni. And do not forget to dream.
Yeah. There you go, people. Fancy. Too fancy, too furious. Oh, now I get it. It's a second video. For fuck's sake. That's why Too Fancy, Too Furious. Yeah, this is like it's a wine video. Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't drink alcohol. Otherwise, I can see myself being a douchebag about wine as well. Yeah, why not? It's like anything you can do. Like people find there's a reason why sport is so famous. What the fuck you physically do in your life, right? Like anything social media is not physical. Any video games are not physical. You do your job, that's physical. What is it you do physical? That's just, it's sport. That's why sport is like the most revered thing in the world, basically. Right? So anything basically that you can do is like you do it. That's the whole thing. You go to travel, sure, that's physical in a way. Right? You do things like, okay, wine test. People like alcohol, so there you go. Why not make it more complicated? That's what science is for. Right? One thing I love about science is like every single field can be explored at really high intensity. but just people needs to do it. That's it. So there you go. Well, if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe. That way, it can help the algorithm. Like impressions, I think people can get impressions or something, whatever, right? And check out the Rick Sunday. There's a link in the description if you haven't seen them already. I have Instagram too now. There's a link in the description if you want to follow me there. And yeah, I'll see you next time.